Welcome to EntreProgrammers Podcast, the podcast for developreneurs, with your hosts, Josh Earl, Derick Bailey, and John Sonmez, the podcast where you get to be a fly on the wall listening to real conversations of three developers trying to tackle the challenges they face as entrepreneurs.
Hey, Josh Earl here with a quick message from our sponsor, Signalleaf. Look, doing a podcast is a lot of work. The last thing you need is a podcast hosting service that makes you jump through a bunch of hoops just to get your episodes published. My co-host Derick created Signalleaf with one goal in mind: to build the easiest podcast hosting service out there. It's the simplest way to get your new podcast up and running quickly and without any hassle. If you're thinking of starting your own podcast, just use Signalleaf. Then you can get back to polishing the lyrics for your own official podcast rap song.
They say camera.
Nice.
So it's not the high quality HD camera, and I'm sitting significantly closer because I have to get super close to the mic.
Sounds pretty good. Oh, you got a new. You brought a good mic, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
It's
Nice.
It's a Audio-Technica AT2005.
Okay.
It's a $50 mic on Amazon, and it's one of the highly recommended USB mics for podcasters that want to get something better than just a headset mic.
Yeah. Probably the sound also is going to be, like, because you're on a Wi-Fi connection, I'm sure, right? Because you're at a hotel. So you're going to be downsampled a little bit on the sound as well. So we're not actually hearing as good as it really is. And even when this goes live, we won't, because it's recording on my end.
Right.
So.
Right. One of the benefits of this microphone, though, is it's got USB and XLR outputs in the back.
Oh, nice.
So if you're doing pro audio stuff in a real studio, if you want to upgrade to, like a mixer setup, you can do all that kind of stuff without having to buy another mic.
Yeah.
Nice. John's sporting the pop filter today.
Yeah. I was cleaning my office, and I got rid of a ton of stuff, and I was like, there's this pop filter. I either need to get rid of it or use it. So I don't know if I really need it for the Rode podcaster mic. I don't know.
You actually don't. There's one built into it. There's a pop filter and a windscreen built into that.
Okay, then let's just get rid of this thing.
It obscures your whole screen.
I don't know how much I paid for it. Maybe $10. I guess I could just throw it away.
Yeah, they're dirt cheap.
Yeah, all right, I'll throw it away.
If you have a mic that doesn't have it built in, it's worth having, but the Rode has one built in.
Okay, yeah. I was hoping you would say that so I could throw this away.
Does the Rode have any kind of background noise filtering built into it or anything, or no? Okay, because I basically stand right next to my air conditioner, and I've been wondering, does that come through?
No, it really doesn't.
Okay, cool. It's maybe the directionality of the mic helps.
Yeah, that might help
reduce it.
Yeah, the directionality and then how close that you talk to it, right? Because it's all relative levels. So if you could take a horrible mic, and if you're right up to that mic, you won't get much background noise, just because it's only gonna pick up, based on it's only got a certain range, and so if you are louder to the mic, then it's not gonna. The other stuff are gonna drop off because they're not gonna be in the range.
Yeah, you turn the input on the mic way down when you get up close to it, and then it pick up the background noises because it's the sensitivity on the input is not high.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, David had told me that my distance is pretty good. I stand closer than you guys, but I don't project as well. That's what he was saying. So cool.
So, how's it going, guys? We're now the anorexiacs or whatever. Are you guys both still on the one meal a day plan?
Yeah, I am. I've done it except for Tuesday of this week.
Yeah.
And that was because I had weeks ago had planned to go out to sushi for lunch with my coworkers.
Yeah, I've been doing it, but I have not made any effort to cut calories yet. Right. So I've just been eating kind of whatever I want, but keeping it to a very small time window in the evening. Yep. Starting at 4:30. So just trying to get in the habit of it. So far, I think the time I tried it before, I was cutting calories. I was only eating 1,300 calories a day, and I was losing weight, but it was also I was just weak, my body was weak from the low calories, and then trying to add this extra willpower required thing onto it was just too much. So this is working out better.
Yeah, it's interesting how it's easier to eat one meal a day than it is to eat smaller, like healthier, like meals. It's interesting how that works. But actually, you know it's funny. I was telling someone about this. I think maybe on Get Up on Code, and someone emailed me. They're like, "Oh, that sounds like the warrior diet."
Yeah.
I was like, "What?" But I never heard of the warrior diet. So I'm actually listening to the audiobook now, the warrior diet. And it's basically this. So I kind of stumbled upon this.
Right.
Right. And then there's actually a book on it. And it's interesting because he's in the book, the author, he talks about, he's like, well, it makes sense because you actually have something to look forward to every day. And this is kind of like it's how you're kind of naturally built to work. And it's interesting. I noticed that the mood, I'm in a better mood because you have that final meal of the day, and like I can just go throughout the day, get the stuff done that I need to, and then I know that good thing is coming at the end of the day, and it seems to make things easier for me. I mean, I've been doing this for 2.5 months now, so.
Yeah, I listened to the Warrior Diet too, and I found it to be a little kooky.
It's a little bit. It's true.
There's definitely a lot of I think it seems like there's a lot of pseudoscience in there, but I definitely the basic premise of I definitely feel more alert. Like you don't get that sort of after lunchtime coma. Right. Around 2 o'clock for me, it's really hard to concentrate usually.
Right.
And now I'm just starting to get hungry, and I'll do a little extra cup of decaf coffee around that time, and takes the edge off, and I can just kind of keep working. And it for me, it's great. Like meal prep and food prep is just so time consuming. That I felt like compressing it down into one meal would make it, it would be a lot easier, especially if you're trying to eat healthy. And if you're trying to eat healthy and eat a huge plate of chicken and broccoli for lunch, that takes an hour.
Exactly.
It takes an hour to eat 10 ounces of chicken, and it's only 600 calories. So if you can kind of squeeze that down into one window, it's a lot. It's a lot less messing around.
Yeah. So, I lost 70 pounds by just cutting out junk and eating healthier food and eventually eating smaller meals. But I don't know what the difference is between 2 years ago and now, but I can't seem to do that at this point anymore. I've been trying to for the last few months, and I'm finding it easier for me right now to do the one meal a day thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. When you've done dieting, serious dieting, your willpower is actually decreased the next time you try and do it,
right? Because
you've experienced the pain in the you know what's you're sick of it, or you're even 2 years so that's why doing something totally new sometimes helps. And I don't know. I'm probably going to stick to this style of eating for a long time because I like it better. I mean, right now I'm trying to lose weight, trying to get more cut. So I'm keeping my dinner meals to chicken, fish, and broccoli, and black beans and stuff like that. So my calories are probably 800 to 1,000 a day. But once I just go into maintenance mode, I'll probably just eat my whole 2,000 to 3,000 calories in one meal, and that'll be fun.
Yeah, that's a lot of work.
I've eaten so much crap at dinner, especially here at the conference for the last 2 nights. I've eaten so much junk and had way too much to drink and all that. So I'm certainly not missing out on calories, at least this week.
Yeah. Just watch the alcohol. The alcohol will hurt you just because it will. Alcohol puts fat in the stomach, basically. Beer bellies exist because of alcohol.
That's why they call it a beer belly.
Yep. But so interesting. We'll have to see how it goes. We'll do updates each week and see. But yeah,
we'll have to do a Get Up and Code episode on this at some point.
Yeah, actually,
of us.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I was going to record one next week. Josh and I are going to record one about his trouble with gaining muscle.
Yes.
And then we'll have to do one with all of us giving our results and just talking about the thing, because I think a lot of people think we're crazy.
Yeah.
Eating one meal a day does sound kind of crazy.
I think I'm crazy right now.
I was just telling my wife, I was like, Josh and Derek's wives must hate me. They must think I'm a cultist nut.
Here's the thing, though. I haven't told my wife I'm doing this.
Oh,
nice.
Because the last time I did an extreme diet 3 years ago, it was horrible. It was awful. I did a paleo diet for 30 days. It was a 30-day challenge, and it was a mess. I mean, it caused all kinds of problems for us.
This is totally different though, because like I've done 0 carb diets and like extreme, and I've been in bad moods, but I am in the best mood ever doing this diet.
You also just spent 2 months in Hawaii.
Well,
may have had a factor.
Maybe
a factor there.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, but in general, like you know, my grumpiness is not. It's not. I don't have diet grumpiness, so
yeah, that's cool.
Right.
So how'd the conference go, Derick?
It was pretty good. Unfortunately, I wasn't as prepared as I wanted to be, just with all the craziness of life happening. But I still think I did a pretty good job. The crowd was interested. It wasn't as large of a crowd as I wanted, but there were a couple of other really good sessions going on at the same time. And the overall size of the conference, it was only like 275 people, and I had about a third of that in my session. So
that's good, yeah.
So it was appropriately populated with people from the conference, and got some good questions during the presentation, which was fun, and some good questions afterwards as well. So I think overall it went well.
Cool. So you said it was about JavaScript robots. Is that something new in the new spec, the JavaScript 5 spec? Or I'm assuming that's like programming robots with JavaScript.
Yeah, it is quite literally programming robots with JavaScript. It's not in the new JavaScript spec at all. Yeah. It's basically hardware. It's typically C-based hardware that has a JavaScript interpretation layer around it. There's various forms of this hardware. There's things like standard Arduino, which is usually C code, but there's this serial port protocol called Fermata that you can install on your Arduino board, and there's a node serial NPM module that does all of the serial communication, and then there's a library on top of that called Johnny5. And the Johnny5 library,
of course,
aptly named after the robot, of course.
Yeah.
The Johnny5 library provides all of the abstractions for things like an LED and a sensor and a motor and all that kind of stuff to make it really easy to work with.
And emotions. It supplies emotions.
Yeah, exactly. It says Johnny5 is alive every now and then. I don't know.
Nice. That sounds really cool. What did your demo consist of?
So I do an intro level. I start with basics of electronics. I show people a battery and an LED, and what happens if you put too much power on an LED. So I had a green LED that I put too much power into, and it's fun with the green ones because they typically don't pop; they start burning.
Oh gosh!
You'll see the green light glowing, and then it'll turn yellow, and then orange, and then red, and then the amount of power that it can take after that is significantly reduced, and the amount of light that it produces is reduced. And if you leave it on long enough, it will kind of burn the plastic a little bit because it is burning the light.
Yeah.
Nice.
The chemical is in there. With the red ones, though. The red ones are my favorite because they typically do pop and smoke. Nice. I had my webcam with me, my HD webcam, and I had it propped up, and I was holding the electronics up to the webcam and using a variable resistor to supply too much power to it. And you could see on the camera that it kind of went pop, and you could see smoke coming off of it. And it smelled burnt, and there was a little black spot. And so it's fun, I do dumb things like that. And then I get into, so here's a basic circuit, and here's how you protect an LED, protect an LED with a resistor, and here's this resistor configuration called a voltage divider, and if you set up a voltage divider in this way, then it's called a pull-down resistor, and oh, by the way, a pull-down resistor and a voltage divider, these are just design patterns, but they're actually the same implementation. It's just the intent is different, so it's called something different. And so I relate it to software development and make it more accessible for people that are just getting into it. and from there I show people my barbecue thermometer that I built, which I have it running JavaScript through Node.js, and then I show my little robot that I have. It's a little two-wheeled robot about that big, and I use JavaScript to drive it first through a console, just a Node REPL command line, and then I go into using an Xbox controller to drive it around, and then using a Leap motion tracking device to drive it around. So it's pretty fun. It's a good presentation, and I think it went over really well. I think the crowd was it was right after lunch, so people were kind of tired and lethargic.
What is this lunch thing you speak of?
Yeah, I know. Like, I went and sat in the lunch area with some people just to talk with them, and they're all sitting there shoveling food in their face, and I've got a Diet Coke, just drinking my Diet Coke, talking. It's pretty crazy, but it was a really good conference overall. The people that put it on are just absolutely amazing. Amanda and Jesse Harlan up here in Oklahoma City, and Vance Lucas as well. They have a foundation called TechLahoma that is dedicated to providing resources. It's a nonprofit foundation dedicated to providing resources for technology people and groups so that they can have user groups and meetups and workshops and do all these things, but they won't have to go through all of the rigmarole of setting up the nonprofit organization or finding sponsors or even getting a location to speak.
Oh, that's cool.
TechLahoma Foundation is managing all of that, and they have like 15 different user groups that have popped up in the last 2 years through this TechLahoma thing that they've built. It's pretty amazing to see what they're doing, and they're just honestly two of the most amazing people in the world. Is Jesse and Amanda Harlan, and Vance is like the behind-the-scenes quiet guy that just gets everything done and doesn't ever take credit for it, but he does a crap ton of work and does an amazing job with it too.
Nice.
So it's just really fun being up here. It's a great community and a great bunch of people.
Cool. I'm getting ready for OrDev now. I'm trying to get my presentations ready. So I've got 2 talks at OrDev, and then there's this conference right before it in Copenhagen, a real small one that they wanted me to do. So I'm doing a talk on the how to market yourself at OrDev,
right.
And then I'm doing a Selenium creating automation test framework, and then I'm doing a talk on Meteor.js
nice.
for that other conference. And it's been a while since I did my Pluralsight Meteor course, and Meteor changed. Like that was Meteor's not at 1.0 yet. It was like 0.6 when I did the course, and now it's at like 0.91 or something, or 0.913. So it's changed quite a bit. So I had to like relearn Meteor essentially because so many things have changed. But that'll be interesting. Meteor is a really really cool. Like I don't want to call it a framework. It's more of a platform really. Mm-hmm. But it's pretty awesome. It's like having live reload automatically, like built into the framework, as well as like automatically having the observer pattern, and it's reactive. So it's like having everything is reactive. Like templates automatically re-update when you make changes. So I've heard
it's really good for real-time systems that need constant communication with the server and constantly getting data in and out.
Yeah.
Does it have a front-end component too, or is it would you use it with something like Ember or Backbone?
It is. That's why I called it more of a platform, because it's a front end and the back end. It's like like you develop a Meteor app. I mean, it's all Node, right? It's Node, but it's very. I'd say it's very prescriptive, right? It's telling you exactly how to use their templating engine with just like handlebars, and then you basically you have flexibility from there. But really, the features, like it automatically syncs MongoDB instances. It has a publish subscribe built into it. So it's pretty crazy how quickly you can get up an app that that real time updates with the server in maybe 50 lines of code or less. So, but yeah, I've been working on that. That's been since I got back. I've been trying to prepare these talks and they're 40-minute talks. I was thinking that they would be longer, which actually kind of makes it tougher because 40 minutes is sort of tough to compress things into. I think because I mean I could easily do 2-hour talk on some of these subjects, so it'll be interesting to see. But
yeah.
But with that, I did discover Cloud9. I can't believe I met. Well, okay, I knew this stuff was out there, but these cloud IDEs, they're pretty crazy. Have you guys used the Cloud IDE yet?
Yeah. Have you ever used the code editor on GitHub?
Well,
I mean that's Cloud9.
Oh, that is?
Yeah.
But I'm talking about the full environment.
Right. Right. They use the Cloud9 editor on GitHub. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
But yeah, I've used I don't know 3 or 4 different ones over the last couple of years, and they are pretty darn amazing. I've used a number of them that ended up going belly up because they couldn't get enough.
Yeah.
No business model.
Yeah. Well, it's hard. I don't remember what the issues were that some of them ran into, but I can't imagine it being an easy thing to do. I mean, there's a whole lot of communication that has to happen, and you got to get people that need to collaborate, and it requires it's a very specialized niche to a certain extent. So.
And there's a ton of competitors in there. When I was looking up trying to find the best one, I settled on Cloud9. Well, here's like the benefit. Like this is why I got into it is because so Meteor is unofficially supported on Windows. So I either need to do Mac or Linux, and I'm like, well, do I really want to pop up a VM and run Linux or go over to DigitalOcean? But then it's like these cloud IDEs. It's not just an IDE. It's also a full Linux install with the terminal. So you could basically go start up a Cloud IDE, and they even have ones that have Node or Meteor pre-installed, and then you basically get a little Linux box in the cloud that your whole file system and editor, it's like all in one package. So you have like a little space that has a terminal window at the bottom. You've got your multi-pane editor, and you can just go there and you can run it right from there. Right. And so it's like zero setup. You can connect from anywhere. You can connect from multiple computers, and the cool thing is like you could pair program on that because both people can see and modify the same instance. Yeah, so it's actually a pretty cool concept.
I did that with Rob Connery a couple of times for some videos that he was recording on Backbone. It was pretty fun. It was definitely worthwhile. So one of our listeners, Matt Kramer, has a site called Cobra.io, Kobra.io.
Yeah.
And it's largely the same kinds of things where you get your own little virtual instance of Linux that has an IDE and collaboration and all that kind of stuff on it. And I haven't used it yet, but I've seen him blogging about it and talking about it, and I'm definitely reading his blog for all the startup stuff that he's talking about on there. And it's pretty interesting to see him building this, knowing that there are things like the Cloud9 out there.
Yeah.
So it's definitely worth checking out.
I think it makes sense. It's because the biggest thing for me, the biggest plus for me, there's two things. One is the fact that you don't have to set up an environment, right? Like you can just have a Linux server in the cloud. Bam, you've got like everything. You don't have to. And then because it's not that big of a hassle to install it on your own Mac and everything. But why when you can just and you can connect from anywhere. You don't have to have that machine. Like you can just open up a web browser and bam, you're there.
Plus the downside is you have to be connected. You can't do it offline.
Yeah. That's the only. But you're connected everywhere now. I mean,
unless you're on a flight over the Atlantic, and then you have to be on Virgin Airlines.
Yeah, that's true. But the reason why I was bringing this up too here is because I think, I already pinged you about Podcast Recorder. What I did was on Cloud9, it connected to my GitHub account, and I was like, oh, I have Podcast Recorder. I'll just clone that, and then bam, I'm running Podcast Recorder, like the project that you created in the cloud. So if I can get that, I might need your help to get that running initially, but if I can get that running, I can probably start working on that some as a kind of a side project. Nice. So I can get that going more.
Right.
But yeah, maybe if you've got some time when you get back or something, you can help me get that.
Totally. Won't be able to today. I'm going to get back basically right when my kids get home.
Yeah.
Monday or something. Definitely.
I've been thinking a lot about Podcast Recorder lately, and just how that really could be Signalleaf's. Like, we've talked about this, but that really could be Signalleaf's USP. You know, I mean, like, that would be killer. Nobody else has anything like that.
Well, there are other companies that are doing it now. I've seen a number of people mention in the Google group for podcast technology and resources. There are a number of other companies that are jumping on this and starting to make it happen. They are not necessarily dedicated to podcasting,
right?
But are useful and usable for podcasters,
right? But I mean, like, no other podcast hosts,
right?
Is, you know, you could have it integrated where it's like it's a one-stop shop at that
right.
point. You know, you could record it on Signalleaf.com, and then your editor downloads it from there, uploads it again. You know, you handle all the ID3 tagging in Signalleaf, and you're done.
So I was listening to an episode of Freelancer Show. You know, Charles Maxwood's
him and
the review. Well, he had an episode on with Mandy Moore and talking about podcasting, and it was interesting just to hear Mandy talking about the process and how hard it is to produce a podcast, because she was like, people don't understand how difficult this is and how much work is involved, and a lot of the pain that she's like scheduling guests and getting everyone set up and their equipment and everything, right? And I thought, man, this is like, there's a huge opportunity here for Podcast Recorder, because like, you can make it so simple to create a podcast. Like, if we did the full thing we envisioned, where you can schedule the guests and you can just click record from one spot, and everyone can record their separate audio tracks, and then you have that high audio quality. The other thing is, I was listening to .NET Rocks episode where both of them were in the same room, and it was high audio quality in the Plop recording studio. And I was like, most of the episodes don't sound this good. So I think I was also thinking, like, this is a big enough idea where you could actually create a startup and get funded from this, because if you solve this problem and you solve it well, there's a huge audience for this. Because there's the audience that exists right now, right? But there's also there's this huge barrier to entry to creating a podcast, which you would just bring right down to the ground if you can just make this a simple web app that handles all that. So we definitely need to. I'm thinking maybe we should file a provisional patent on the idea, and then that'll buy us some time. But
yeah, it's a possibility. We'd have to get really specific in the patent about what it's doing. There's a whole lot of. I've been on the outskirts of patent processes a lot because of my dad.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of wary about patents these days because of a lot of the stupidity around them.
Sure, of course, yeah. But a provisional patent is not as it's only a couple $100, and it also is it's not as detailed. But it kind of gives you, like, it kind of protects your idea enough till you can get the full patent filled out. So, but we have prior art because we have recorded. We have live on the air recorded the first episode that we discussed this on EntreProgrammers. So we're kind of protected already just because of prior art, but
I don't know. I'm of the opinion that ideas are a dime a dozen.
Of course, yeah. Implementation is where it counts, but
But yeah, I see the point of patents. I just think that our patent system is really screwed up.
Yep, I agree.
Anyways, enough. That's enough philosophical talk about patents.
But anyway, well, if you'll help me, I'll get going on Podcast Recorder, and then the other thing is we'll be able to pair on that. Like, we can just do a live, both connect to my Cloud 9 instance, and we can get that running. I actually was proud of myself because I got it. Like, I don't know much about Node, and I was trying to build it, and it was like missing this, and then I added like 50 npm modules. Like, I don't know how many npm modules you
select star from npm modules.
npm install star, and we're done.
And I kept getting further until I got to that one one stopping point. But
so there's this website that you may have heard of that has this video series on doing things, with code. You get to watch this guy, and there's like these Node.js videos.
That's pluralsight.com, right?
Yeah, totally. The tech pod.
Isn't that video where the guy just does npm install, npm
and I'm
install,
done. npm install, I'm done. But yeah, I mean, I've got quite a few Node.js videos up there. So
yeah,
you might be past the point where you need the ones that I have, but I'm working on more through the end of the year to go through a lot of the stuff that you're doing right now.
Okay. I've got the basic idea. Like looking from the code and stuff, I think I'm just running into some kind of compatibility or environment problem with Cloud9. Right. Like even just going through your code, I was like, oh, now I kind of get how this is working. I even went through that EPA. Is it EPA?
Yeah, EPA.
Yeah, that made sense.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that's my environment configuration. I called it EPA because Environmental Protection Agency.
I see.
It's like, all right, I'm building an environment config module. Let's call it EPA.
Nice.
Yep.
So what else is going on? Anyone got any big news on the business side?
I've sold more of my Backbone books than I expected to in the last 2 weeks.
Nice.
Which is odd, I find. Like most of them are coming in through the package deals still, but
package deal on LeanPub.
Yeah, so there's a package called Build a Better Backbone App. So yeah, I've had maybe 5 or 6 sales in the last week, which is more than I had been seeing. So that's interesting.
That's good. It might also be due to your talking to, or
could be.
So.
Right.
Yeah, I've seen my sales with other bundles have pretty much dried up, which has been surprising. Like mostly the bundles I see now are just my own bundle.
Right.
So I don't know if that's because I haven't created any new bundles with the newer books. So I wonder if some of those other books are just also at the tail end of their useful life, and so they're not new hot books anymore.
Yeah.
So they're just not getting a lot of traffic, or not really sure exactly what's going on there. But
a lot of your bundles were with some of the top ones, like the best sellers that were. So I think those dropped off the list, and so that might have been.
Yeah, that might be it. Although I mean, I don't know. Like, do people really go to LeanPub and sort by popularity, and then you think?
Oh yeah, that's it. Everything I shop for, I do that way. I'm like, what do other people think is cool? That's.
Well, I could see that on like Amazon. Like I go by like Amazon, number of ratings and star ratings and stuff on Amazon. But on LeanPub, it's kind of like I don't think I'd ever end up there unless I got there from a specific book. It's not someplace I would necessarily go to shop. Maybe people do more than I think go there to shop.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a huge audience. We'd have to ask the LeanPub guys how often that happens, but I've done it a few times at least. There's a number of LeanPub books that I've bought that I've just been jacking around, just looking at, whoa, hey, what's out here, and like, oh, I didn't know he wrote this. Oh, let me get that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
But yeah, other than that, I had a new subscriber to Signalleaf 2 days ago.
Yeah, that came through our ads. So
yeah, it came through Google Ads.
We've had 2 signups come through. One of them canceled immediately.
Yeah, like the day that they signed up, they canceled.
Very disappointing. Yes. We got, it was a high and low there, all in one fell swoop. But yeah, this one hopefully hasn't canceled yet, and
nope, still active.
Yep.
I haven't produced a podcast yet, so I need to email them to see as a follow up to see if they need any help with anything.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I'm looking. I mean, I have my little admin site that I set up where I can see a couple of things, and I'm realizing now, okay, I need to have a better sequence in Drip set up so that if I send them an email right away when they sign up to say, hey, welcome aboard. Let me know if you need anything. Mm-hmm. But I need to have another one that will check, somehow post an event or something from Signalleaf if they have not created a podcast within a certain number of days.
Yeah.
Then do another follow-up.
Yep.
Yeah, or you could add them to an activation sequence kind of thing. I guess that's what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So I guess the way you would set that up is the emails would have the first email to say hi, and then a week later it would send them hey, can I help you with anything? You haven't posted a podcast yet or anything. But then on the Signalleaf side of things, once they do create a podcast, send that event over to Drip and have them unsubscribed from that particular campaign.
Yeah.
Nice.
That'd be pretty easy to do. I should do that.
So any idea what the cost was to acquire that customer?
Like $178 or something.
So it was about if you count the cancellation, if you discount the cancellation, it was around $178,
mm-hmm.
which is pretty close to Derick's break even from what we know.
Yeah, so I've got bare metrics again. Let me pull that up.
Okay, great. Let's take a look. So I mean, if you don't count, if you include the guy who canceled right away,
mm-hmm.
that's actually Derick's actually making a nice profit there.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have to figure out what the cancellation rate is for people coming in from Google.
$226 lifetime value right now.
Okay. Well, and that's going to go up too because that's like based on a few months worth of data basically.
Yeah. So. Basically, so I split off Signalleaf in Stripe, in Stripe.com. I split Signalleaf into its own account in July, so it's from July till now.
Right. And honestly, you probably won't have a good idea of that value for a couple of years.
Right.
Because if somebody keeps their podcast going, if they're paying you $20 a month for, for 3 or 4 years, their LTV is actually way higher than.
Yeah, for that one individual account it is, but I would imagine I need to ask the Barometrics guys. I would imagine that the overall lifetime value should account for the outliers. Should give me a standard deviation or something like that. I don't see it. It's not. I mean, I'm looking at the report right now and it's not here, but. That's probably something I'm going to ask them to add. I'd like to see a standard deviation for the lifetime value so we can discount the outliers like that.
Yeah, well, you need a certain sample size though to even get that.
That's true. That's true.
And a certain certain level of number of data points.
Yeah, I mean you can get a standard deviation out of 3 data points. It's just going to be a really useless.
So plus or minus 75%.
Right. So I probably have enough to get. I mean, I've got 25 paying customers or something like that over 3 months. So that's enough to at least give me an idea so far.
Yeah,
it's certainly going to get better over time, but
you'll have to see the drop off too because I forget the statistic. I think Pat Flynn had just mentioned it. Is either 60 to 90% of somewhere in there of podcasts don't make it past episode 6.
Yeah,
right? So
80% don't make it past episode 8, basically.
Okay, so let's say if 80% don't make it past episode 8, then they're going to pay you up to episode 8, which might take them 6 to 12 months to get to 8, right? And then after that, they're probably going to fiddle around for 6 months to a year. I'm just guessing here before they finally cancel it because they're going to think they're going to do something for a year, but. I can't imagine someone who's stopped producing a podcast continuing to pay a monthly fee for more than a year. I'd say it's probably a year because that's when that's when people cancel gym memberships too. Is it's like, they're like, I guess I'm not going to do this after all. So
yeah, which is what I'm saying, Derick. Like, we don't have that full year of data yet, so I think that'll continue to climb.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I mean, looking at the report just for the last 3 months, it's definitely on the rise.
But hey, if you advertise and you break even at this point, totally worth it because you're growing, you're building up the credibility and the more podcasts that you have. Plus, you can also develop other plans and products to sell to. So I think it's overall good. Plus, you're perfecting, you're learning the marketing. It's a learning experience of using the ads. So.
Yeah, we're really just at the beginning of this too. The only ads that we have running right now are a very, very small set of keywords for around podcast hosting.
Yeah.
And I think this is the toughest nut to crack, because these are people probably who've already heard about podcast hosting. They've probably already heard about Libsyn.
Yeah.
And they know that Libsyn is, the big 800-pound gorilla. So you kind of have to rip them away. You have to rip them out of Libsyn's claws. And you don't really they don't have any real experience with Libsyn or any of the other podcast hosts. So we can't say, you're experiencing all this pain. There's not a lot to work with there.
Right.
So we're using right now. We're trying a 50% discount on your first month.
Right.
As the offer.
Yeah.
And since we introduced that, we've had 2 conversions and spent about $180.
Yeah.
So that looks pretty promising. I have kept the budget low enough that we're actually only getting a small percentage of the impressions that we could be getting. So we could probably get about 4 times more traffic than what we're getting now out of this little ad group that we're running.
Right.
Yeah.
But we have to up our bid, and we need to improve the landing page where we can really do that. So
yeah, and I know you've been doing a lot of work on the landing page that I haven't looked at all this week.
It's okay.
But yeah, that's I'm planning on getting back to Signalleaf next week and getting a lot of stuff done with it. In kind of my spare time over the last week and a half, I started working on some balsamic mock-ups, wire diagrams for a new onboarding workflow, basically a wizard that they can walk through, that will walk them through setting up a new podcast and publishing an episode and whatnot.
Nice.
And I think I'm going to turn that into a Watch Me Code series as well, because I've had a lot of people ask me recently, like, hey, I really like what you're doing, but I want to see more stuff like what you did way back in the day, where you go through a real application with real problems and do that kind of stuff. So I'm probably I'm hoping that I will be able to sit down and record building this wizard as a Watch Me Code series, and it'll cover a lot of things, including test-driven development on Backbone and building a Backbone plugin and a bunch of interesting stuff.
Adding NPM modules.
Yeah. I do have a screencast for that already.
Nice.
It's funny how every platform always ends up becoming it's like, this is the bare bones thing, this is why we created this thing.
Yeah.
And then you have to bolt on all these things always. It always gets to that point. And then some hipster new kids, whatever the new thing. After, what's post-hipster? It's going to be something else. But anyway, those guys, those
squares.
What's the Back to the Future, I don't know, the kids that are wearing the Back to the Future clothes, right, and hoverboards, they're gonna be like, man, NPM, there's so much stuff in there, and Sublime, you gotta install all these plugins. We need to start over. We're gonna create the BIF framework.
Nice.
So where we're going next is we're gonna try. So I want to try to get in front of people with Signalleaf earlier in the process. So we had an ad group that was doing really well in terms of traffic around the keywords were kind of centered around creating podcasts, making a podcast, starting your own podcast, and so we're going to send that traffic to an opt-in page,
right? And
then send them an email when they sign up. Immediately send them a one-page cheat sheet kind of thing, right. And then have a person, Derick, go out to them saying, hey, I'm here to help you. Do you have any questions? I know this is confusing. Try to get them to respond immediately to that. And then Derick because Derick's done really well dialoguing with people in real time. And, so this won't be automated, but eventually it could be automated.
Right.
And for right now, we're just going to try to throw leads at Derick and let him be the human conversion machine.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, if we could get
scales,
Yeah. Totally. I mean, I've been reading a lot of startup stuff recently around getting your first 100 customers.
Mm-hmm.
Nearly all of them, including a great podcast episode from Rob Walling.
Yeah.
They all say do things that don't scale.
Exactly.
Right. Don't automate anything. Don't try to do things.
You're going to automate the wrong thing.
Totally. Exactly. Do things that don't scale. Get out there and talk with people one-on-one. I mean, there's a pretty famous blog post now that talked about how Airbnb flew out to New York and brought a lot of really expensive camera equipment with them to take professional photographs of the first people that were trying to list their apartments on Airbnb, and that like dramatically increased the number of people that were using Airbnb to actually rent apartments just by doing that. And so they started getting better photographers and better photographs and better all these things in place based on doing that one manual things that definitely did not scale, and it improved their business.
Yeah, so this is kind of automating one step that we know works, which is Derick's been trolling Twitter, looking for people that need help and talking to them, and that works really well. Well, so what we're going to do is just automate that one step. So we're going to have AdWords do the trolling for us now, and get people to contact Derick.
Yeah, instead of having to find them.
Yeah, so he'll still have to talk to them, but he won't have to find them. So
I wonder if that's one thing that I've realized in the last couple of years. My dad and my brother, they're both the same way. They can sit down and talk with an individual person, and if it's something that I really truly believe in, I'm not sitting down trying to sell the person on something. I'm sitting down trying to help them. And oh, by the way, I really believe that this thing that's over here that happens to earn income for me will help you. Here's what it'll do. Here's what it won't do. And oh wait, you need that. Oh well, you might actually be better off over there.
Yeah, and if you can put yourself in that position where you can say that, oh, okay, I'm actually not a good fit for you.
Right.
Like your credibility is, through the roof at that point. I actually did that this week. I don't remember if I talked about the outcome. So I was talking to that chiropractor, and I'd been talking to him for quite a while about doing an AdWords campaign. It stretched out over about 2 weeks, and he ended up. So I ended up saying he turned out that his practice was interesting. It was very specialized. And so he actually advertises more on specific conditions. And there just wasn't going to be enough search volume there. I didn't think I could get him the search volume that he needed to make that work. Right. He didn't want to advertise on just general chiropractor terms. So I said, maybe he's had a lot of luck with TV advertising. So I kind of actually steered him towards Facebook, which I don't do, and I'm not interested in doing. But he knows he's been talking to somebody else about Facebook. Sounds like a similar setup where it's like drive traffic to a landing page type of thing. So I kind of steered him in that direction. And then after we kind of wrapped up, I asked him for referrals. If he'd had any friends that he'd be willing to refer me to who might be a better fit. He gave me 2 names, and I contacted both. One of them bounced back, so I need to reach out to this guy again. Oh, he actually emailed 2 people. One of them I emailed to follow up, and it bounced back because the guy's changed his email address. He had like an autoresponder set up, so I know his new address.
Right.
The other guy responded, and now we're talking. So my conversion rate on that was 100% of my referrals so far.
Nice.
And this he's just starting out, so he's got a really small practice so far. But I think I'm excited about it. I think I can help him get something going. So I don't remember what the point was of that, but
being the guy that's willing to.
Yes. I think that bought me a lot of credibility with this guy. And just I just answered his questions, and I think that really paid off. So definitely going to be taking that strategy. With the new lead, I'm actually taking a little bit of a different approach. So one thing that I did poorly in this initial conversation was I very quickly got on the defensive. I mean, I was basically spamming the guy, so I sent him an unsolicited email, and so he was kind of suspicious at the outset. He asked me a lot of questions. Well, whoever asks the questions is in control. I never really got control of that conversation. So with this guy, he responded to me pretty quickly actually and said, hey, I'm interested. Well, let's talk about options. And so I fired back with a list of questions that I wanted him to answer about his practice and what he's tried and all that stuff. So kind of trying to position myself more as as a consultant. Which is, so he responded. He answered all my questions. So gonna be working on that this weekend and trying to figure out the next step with him. So yeah, I'm thinking I'll probably go with a really small. I'm gonna charge him something because I want him to pay me for. I want him to do what I'm actually telling him to do, and he won't do it if I don't charge him anything. So I'm gonna charge him something probably pretty small compared to what I want to charge long term. But
yeah, start with like a one-time package fee or something.
Yeah. That's what I did with the other guy. Was I offered him a one-time deal, basically where I was gonna. I told him I wouldn't cash his check unless he was happy.
Right.
So, we're gonna pay. He's gonna pay for the ads. We're gonna spend a certain amount of money on ads, and then I won't cash his check for the project unless he's happy with the results. So it's like a 30-day kind of.
So that's a pretty good USP right there. Guaranteed results, or I won't cash your check. That's pretty dang solid USP.
Yeah. So that's what I'm gonna do that with this guy. I'm probably gonna approach him with a lower fee because he's only got a handful right now. He's only got a handful of patients a week, so he can't afford. Like I could charge him anything I want, but he can't afford it. So, but yeah, it sounds like he's got very realistic goals. Like he wants initially he'd like to get 1 or 2 patients a week. If he's willing to spend a little bit of money, I think that's easy. That would be a shoo-in. So. Yeah, so that's been exciting this week. I had a couple other cool things. Nathan Barry emailed me first.
Nice.
He was interested, wondering if I'd be interested in trying out ConvertKit, which I've used before. I liked it, but I ended up canceling a long time ago just because I wasn't using it basically. So he was kind of seeing if I had any interest in giving it another shot, but. Gonna see. I'm told him I'm pretty happy with Drip, but I want to see. I'd like to see what he's got in there now because I think for a lot of people that listen to us, he'd be a great fit.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was kind of cool. Go ahead, John. Sorry.
I was gonna say I've been curious about ConvertKit, so I'm interested to see what you come back with. So hopefully we won't become an anti-sponsor.
No, I don't think he will. Yeah. He said he's added a lot of features for technical authors, so that sounded pretty intriguing. So that was pretty cool to get, because I've emailed him. He Skyped me after he read my Smart Passive Income post.
Yeah.
And he Skyped me a while back, and so we talked a little bit. So it's pretty cool when there's all these people that you've been following for a long time, actually kind of know who you are. It's like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what else? Oh yeah, so Rob Walling at Drip added he's killing my my wish list. I'd have to go back and look at my wish list now, but they've been knocking off features really fast. They added some really cool reporting this week that gives you MailChimp, Aweber. I haven't seen this on any of the other big providers. It's just how many subscribers did I get this week?
Yeah.
He added this report, and it's great. You can see exactly it's the line graph. You can see how your
growing,
how your list is growing week to week, and it's so simple. And that's the thing I'd asked MailChimp about a long time ago, and they're like, well, you can create a custom segment with the start dates and the end dates exactly. No.
There's ways to pull the data from MailChimp depending on their app. I get the daily email from them, right, that I put in my roll-up, and I can see how many get added per day. But then I guess on the iPad app, I found there was a dashboard, and it showed a bar graph, and there were a couple of options there. So it's but it's still not this is the most simple and most critical piece of data.
Right.
How are you growing? Are you growing?
Their bar charts are indecipherable to me. They've got month to month they have these 3 or 4 color shaded bar charts. It's I have no idea. What this means, and I don't think they factor in unsubscribes. And it's
kind of awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, Drip is definitely doing awesome. I need to find time to finish moving everything over there. I've got all of Signalleaf on there. Watch Me Code is still signing up through MailChimp, but I can change that pretty easily now that I've got Watch Me Code and Stripe, or Watch Me Code and Signalleaf split on Stripe. So I'm gonna get that changed.
Yeah.
And then on my Derick Bailey stuff, all of the subscriptions happen through Drip now. I think I set it up that way. So all my subscribers go through Drip, but they still integrate with MailChimp, and I'm still sending emails, weekly emails through MailChimp.
Yeah.
But I'm going to start sending them through Drip here pretty soon.
You know what you could do with those, Derick? You might have thought of this already, but if you just set up an autoresponder in Drip, you could just add emails to the end of the autoresponder every week, and then people get kind of put through the Derick Bailey, onboarding. Like, this is who I am. This is what I'm all about.
Mm-hmm.
Put some of your best emails up front to kind of get people to know who you are, and then you just add them on the end, and you don't even have. It's great. You don't even have to think about who's getting what email when. Like, it just happens.
Interesting idea.
There's no. If you're doing broadcasts, then you're always worried about am I going to email these people twice on the same day or something?
Right.
But Drip makes that so easy. I never bothered to do that with MailChimp because
it was impossible.
It was impossible. Yeah. If you decided you want to, heaven help you, if you decided you want to swap around your autoresponders.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
And they've fixed a lot of that recently.
Yeah.
But it's nowhere near as well done as Drip.
Yeah. Too little, too late.
Yeah. So I've got my Drip campaigns for the five rules for managing this and the object-oriented thinking, and I recently set up automation in Drip so that you do not, if you sign up for those, you will not get subscribed to my normal mailing list right away. It waits until you've completed that campaign to put you on my normal list.
Yep, that's killer.
Because I had a lot of people unsubscribe from my normal list and inadvertently get unsubscribed from the campaign as well because of the way things were set up previously, and so it's working a lot better to subscribe people to have people drop off the end of the email course and then get onto my list automatically.
Yep. Yeah, I definitely got to get switched over because that's where I get a lot of drop off. Well, because if you sign up through my blog, then you get the how to market yourself sequence, but then you're going to get my broadcast and my RSS, and then the RSS still kills me. Most unsubscribes come from the RSS, so I'm I really need to make it so that people have been asking, well, I already use an RSS reader, I don't want to be on here, so then they miss out on the other stuff.
Right.
So I need to make it configurable. I feel like in Drip it'll be easy for me to make it just click this and you get tagged, right? And now you have RSS or you don't have RSS, right?
Right. Yep.
And they don't have the RSS to emails yet. They're still working on that.
That's coming, right?
Yeah, they're basically working on it right now.
Yeah.
And that's one last will be awesome to have, but at this point it's not even a necessity for me anymore. I have everything set up to where it's not absolutely necessary. It will just make my life a little bit easier. Because the way I'm doing things now, even with MailChimp, is I'm writing the email twice. I'm writing it once for the mailing list and once for my blog. So I can do the same thing in Drip. It's not a big deal. But once Drip gets the RSS to email set up, I'm going to change it so that I write the email once in my blog, and then Drip sends it from the blog to the RSS subscribers.
Yep. Cool.
Nice.
It'll make my life a lot easier that way.
Oh, so here's something I have looking at my list. So I spent 2 months in Hawaii with the Surface Pro 3, right?
Oh yeah.
So
yes.
It worked pretty well, right? I didn't use the touch as much. I tried drawing a little bit. I didn't use the pen all that much, but it was a pretty powerful machine. I was even able to play some 3D games on it. I think I was playing one of the Morrowind or something.
Wolfenstein and no, it was powerful enough for those.
I played BioShock on there, which is, I mean, it's an older game, I guess, because it's on the iPad now, so maybe that's not a good. But I tried Batman Arkham Asylum, and it didn't work too well on there. So I was like, okay, so this thing is not going to replace my PC if I'm going to do any kind of gaming. Mm-hmm. So. And then I still had some problems with the trackpad, but I was able to record videos and use it for minimal work there. But when I got home, I immediately realized the value of, first of all, the big monitors and the multi-screen and the power of my PC. It's still a lot more powerful than the Surface Pro. And then as I've been looking for a portable, as I've been trying to like walk on the treadmill and whatnot, I've been reaching for the MacBook Pro because it's so hard to use a trackpad on the Surface.
Right.
So I don't know, I hate to do this, but I think I'm going to have to sell the Surface Pro.
Oh, man. Let me add fuel to your fire.
Okay.
I read a report yesterday. I can't remember the website, but it was a reputable website. And they were saying that Microsoft's supply chain for the Surface Pro line is ramping down, and there is speculation within that supply chain, and with somebody close to that supply chain saying that it's likely Microsoft will end the Surface Pro line because they're not even expecting to sell 1 million of them for Surface Pro 3.
I suspect it. I mean, it's an awesome machine. Like, don't get me wrong. This Surface Pro 2 sucked. I will just be honest there. But Surface Pro 3, they made enough improvements with the screen size and the touch cover or the type cover that it was a lot more usable, and it's a very powerful machine. But like when you compare it, like the price, well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess the price is because I have a MacBook Retina that's like $2,400. So. Right. But I don't want to leave that thing sitting, right, unless the Surface Pro is so much better. So I kind of have to I can't use 2 laptops, first of all, so I really have to get rid of one. Like if I was traveling all the time, but if I'm using my desktop. At first I thought I was going to replace my desktop, but I know that if I hook the Surface Pro 3 up to 2 4K monitors, that it will die. It will not be able to. It'll power them, but it'll be laggy, it'll be choppy. The video card just is not going to handle that. I've got 2 video cards in this machine, and I think I'm going to stick to that for a while because it's worth having, minus the portability. So yeah, I don't know. And it's just so hard to touch the MacBook trackpad. It is such a good, well-designed thing and when you're on a laptop, unless you've got a mouse hooked up, it's majority of the time you don't. So
I bought the Apple Magic Trackpad, external trackpad. Because when I sit at my desk at home, I have my laptop lid closed so I can look at my Thunderbolt monitor. But I still want the trackpad because that is by far the best way to deal with a mouse and gestures and things on a Mac, and it makes it really easy for me.
You know what I did just recently? I set up. I don't know if you guys can. Oh yeah, you can see behind me here. I've got this other monitor and keyboard set up.
Right.
I've got this USB 3 docking station back here, this pluggable one, and so I can just take my MacBook. I can plug it right in here, and I've got this is like one of those Dell 24-inch monitors, and so I can just plug in the USB into there, and then I've got mouse and keyboard, so I can access. It makes it just super easy. I wasn't planning on swapping it with the Surface, but I think I might just leave that as my Mac workstation. Plus, like I've got 2 4K monitors on my main system, which is not very good for trying to record like videos with Camtasia because like you can do it. Like I don't know if you guys saw that Kanban flow YouTube video I did, but I did it. You just have to tell it to like to fit the. There's like an option in Camtasia to tell it to fit the screen to to snap to the window, and it'll make the window be the right size, the HD 1024, but it's easier to have a monitor that's a little bit smaller.
I don't record screencasts on my Retina monitor anymore or my Thunderbolt monitor. I've got in my closet recording studio, I've got an old, like, 6-year-old 1080p
little 1024 by 768 monitor and 256
cathode ray tube. It's like 25 inches deep. You know, no, it's an old flat panel Dell 1080p monitor, but that is the perfect monitor for recording screencasts.
Yeah,
I can use that. I can size my window down to 720p using my little using the size up tool that I have on my Mac, and record it on there. And I don't have the giant file size bloat that the Retina causes, because the Retina is literally 4 times the size of whatever I'm recording. Mm-hmm. So when I resize something on my Retina to 720p, it's 4 times 720p. So it ends up being several gigs worth of video just for a few minutes. It's ridiculous.
Right. I mean, you can change the resolution on your Retina to actually be real pixel to pixel.
But then it's impossible to see.
Yeah, then it's just easier to have. Plus, you can maximize windows without worrying about them going out of the thing. So. Yeah, it's definitely nice to have. So that's kind of what I'm probably going to do for most of my heavy recording, and just to have it's nice to be able to use a lot. Then I'm dual monitor with the Mac without having to swap it out with these 4K monitors and try and do all that kind of things. So I don't know. I think that's the plan. I hate to get rid of the Surface Pro 3 because I mean it really is a beautiful machine and it's awesome, but if it's not going to replace my desktop, then we're not at the point in technology yet, where a laptop can replace my desktop. A lot of people's it could, but
I've been laptop only for like 5 or 6 years.
Yeah. I like having dual 4K monitors right now, so that's just not going to be a feasible laptop. Plus, I like to have fast SSDs, and I guess the new MacBook Retina got a PCI Express SSD. So I don't know how it benchmarks though, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm always debating over the technology.
I don't play games on my Mac at all, ever.
Yeah.
I have a PlayStation 4 for that, or Xbox or PlayStation 3 or whatever. So I do all my gaming on dedicated gaming systems. So it's never, that kind of stuff isn't so much an issue for me anymore. I used to be, back in the day, really big on having, good hardware specs and big, bulky boxes with all kinds of stuff stuffed into them. And in the last, I think it's probably closer to, probably 6 to 8 years, I guess. I'm done with that. I don't care. The laptops, the high-end laptops that I buy they're great. They're everything that I need in a computer. I haven't needed a desktop for anything in 6-8 years. So
yeah.
And I don't know what I'm gonna do when I get my next computer, because so I don't think I'm gonna get an Apple. I don't like Mac OS 10. I just don't. I'm tired of it.
But now there's Windows 10.
Yes, that's true. Right. That's true.
Everyone was like, why did they skip 9? The obvious answer to me is because Mac OS 10 and Windows 10 now they can compete better. Like, they can use the moniker that the Mac is already.
There's actually a pretty good rumor going around. There's a blog on Derick about a week ago where Burke Holland talked about version numbers as a brand, and in the middle of it he talked about Windows 10, and there was a rumor going around that a lot of really poorly written code has checks for specific versions of Windows, with a very specific check that says if version starts with Windows 9, because of Windows 95 and Windows 98.
Oh, I see.
Interesting.
And so there was Alex Sexton tweeted a link to a GitHub search where he searched for that string. If starts with Windows 9, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of code files in GitHub alone that have that exact string, that exact search to check version numbers of Windows.
Huh.
That's really interesting.
Legitimate reason to think that Microsoft said, okay, look, we can spin all kinds of marketing stuff around this, but realistically, we're going to have problems if we call this Windows 9 because of Windows 95, 98 days.
Interesting.
And it's not the first time they've skipped version numbers anyways.
Yeah.
It's just the first time it exploded on the internet.
Yeah. Yeah, huh. Well,
it's also funny to see that Windows 10 is actually like the 12th or 13th release.
Yeah.
And it's also version 6.3.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like, so I do like Apple hardware generally, but if you go with Windows, like everything I've ever seen on it, you get like half to 2/3 as much battery life. Like the battery, you get, if it's rated at 10 hours, you get like 5 or 6, and
that's not Mac period.
What's that?
That's Mac period. It doesn't matter if it's Windows or OS X. If you buy a battery life on an Apple product that's rated for 10 hours, you better not use it. Because if you use it, you're going to install something, and if you install something, you're not going to get 10 hours of battery life.
Yeah, I've seen like battery rundown tests though, where they did like Windows in boot camp and then compared it side by side, and it was it was 2/3. The battery life on Windows was like 2/3 as much. So I don't really want to do that. I was really wanting the Carbon X, the Lenovo Carbon X one. That is a gorgeous machine.
Yeah.
If you like the business kind of all business aesthetic, which I do.
Lenovo is killing it these days. I mean, I've recommended Lenovo to a lot of people recently, and they.
I'm not gonna buy I want the newest one, but I'm not buying it because they ruined the keyboard.
Really?
They took the caps lock key out, which I use for escape in Vim, and that is hard. I've been doing that for years, and it's hardwired now. And they put home and end there.
Really?
Yes.
What? Oh.
Yeah, and then they moved the tilde key.
That's interesting.
And
I like that.
They removed the there's no function row, which I don't use a ton. But like it's just, oh my gosh, like why would you do that? Why would you monkey with something that's been so standardized for so long? Like actually that's why I sold my Yoga. I had a ThinkPad Yoga that I liked, but I hated the keyboard configuration by like the backspace key was too small.
Yeah.
And the home key and the end key were like directly above the arrow keys, and I was constantly hitting them and going who knows where in my files. It was just so.
Just go buy an HP and it will look exactly like a Mac because they have ripped off. I mean, down to the last detail, ripped off the Mac with their latest line.
Yeah, I don't know. So the Carbon, I really like it. I was really hoping that I would, that might be my next machine, but I don't think, I'm not buying that one for sure. I've actually looked at the old one, but the screen is only like, it's like the height is only 768 pixels, like whatever.
Yeah.
It's a really small screen, and so that's like
68.
Not quite. It's like 1378 by
13
768 or whatever.
Like they ship you a CRT monitor with that laptop.
But yeah, I've done the thing before with the netbook thing where you have like anything less than 800 pixels is unusable because a lot of apps are hard coded to kind of snap to that 800. Like I think Photoshop, like it was actually projecting. I had a MacBook or I had a little netbook, and it was actually sticking off the bottom of the screen. I couldn't shrink it down small enough to get it on the screen. So I'm definitely not.
I made the netbook mistake just like everyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so awful.
Yeah, so I don't know if I'm not gonna. I don't think I'm gonna buy a Surface Pro though if they're really gonna kill that line.
Yeah, I mean that was the article I read, and frankly that makes me very sad.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I'm a Mac user. I have an iPad, but I'm an Android user as well, and I personally think that the Windows 8 tablets were really well done. I mean, Don says over and over how much you like it. It's just the problem is they were positioning it as replace your laptop,
which it can do
if you are in the right
business class user. Yeah.
Right. If you're in the right scenario, it can. But they have they have such a small audience size for that target, and they are expecting the general public to buy it for that reason anyway.
Right. Well, and they're backing off with Windows 10. They're actually backing off.
Yeah.
That was actually a really hard press conference for me to watch, because it was like, it's like, it made me feel old, actually. I was like, I can't get excited about, they flip-flopped, like I can't get excited about anything new now, because, it's just a flip-flop, like basically like, well, 2 years ago it was like, touch first and blah, 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 and then it was like, oh, well, we found, this is actually better, and they're actually going back to more of the way that Windows 7 worked, where it had a touch mode, and things would get bigger. Like the bar, the status bar, or the menu bar would get bigger and stuff. So it was, I don't know, yeah.
But here's the problem.
Excited about
the biggest problem with the Surface Pro with the Windows, with the touch, the App Store just totally sucks for Windows. The Windows is the most horrible. You can find stuff in Android and Apple. Like I use my iPad because there's actually like usable apps on there, right? I've got an iPad Mini, and I'll probably keep that. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, like, okay, so it comes down to, if it's a tablet plus a laptop, that's great. But if it had the Apple App Store, then yes, then I would totally be about it. But the thing is, if I'm only going to end up using it as a laptop, which I am, because I just like the touch mode. I never stay in the touch mode because there's nothing good. There's no apps that are good that are in there, and like you search the store and there's nothing. Like they're all, I can't even find an app that's rated more than 3 stars in the entire App Store. Like I'm sure there's a few of them, but it's that bad. It really is that bad. And so if I'm just going to use this laptop, then really what it comes to is that then you have this problem of, do I ever actually take the touch cover, the type cover off? No, I never take it off because I'm always wanting it in typing mode. I'm never wanting it as a standalone tablet. So then it becomes, well, then if it's going to be attached all the time, then how does it compare to a regular laptop keyboard? And that's where it just gets nailed. It's like there's no advantage to it at that point.
Right.
And then what what the device is going to be. This is what you can quote me on. This is what the Windows device of the future is going to be. And I'm sure that there's probably companies already making this. It's going to be a regular laptop, except for one thing. The keyboard, it'll have a regular keyboard, but the keyboard will disconnect. And it'll be a standard regular clamshell keyboard, but you can pull it off if you want to. It doesn't fold behind. It doesn't do anything fancy. It just comes right off.
I've seen some of those. Yeah, I don't. They've mostly been like low-end hardware makers that I've seen doing it, but I would be very happy with that.
Yeah, but I think touch, and the other thing is, like, I think touch for laptops is, first I thought it was a good idea, but I use it and it doesn't work. Like, if it actually worked, when you try to scroll web pages with touch, there's like a lag, and it doesn't quite, so you touch it again, and you try, and then you click the wrong thing.
When I've got my hands down here typing, the last thing I want to do is pick my hands up to touch the stupid screen.
Yep. Yeah, I think touch is really, it has limited uses. It's right. Phone and tablet only devices. Tablet's going to be replaced by phablet. Like, I'm already at this point where
that was one of the things the article said, was all the phablets out there are causing a lot of sales drop off with the Surface, because people are just getting bigger phones that are acting like tablets.
Yeah. Well, I've got an Android phone right now, and I'm seriously considering getting rid of my Android phone and just buying an iPhone 6, the biggie size.
So that basically would just look like a normal phone in your hands.
Well, right. Yeah, exactly. But think about this, like an iPhone 6 Plus, right? It can replace your phone, but it also replaces your iPad Mini, because it's only a little bit smaller than the iPad Mini. So I could get rid of 2 devices, replace it with the one, and it's a tablet and a phone. That makes
and you could put it right in your fanny pack. And
exactly. And it won't bend in the fanny pack.
Well, that's the other thing. I'm feeling completely homeless right now, because I am not buying an iPhone 6 or a 6 Plus. I hate those phones. I went and looked at them. And so the 6, so my take on it is, like, I like for me the 5. What I liked about the iPhone was the smaller size, honestly.
Really?
And the build quality. I felt like
it.
Yeah, I felt like it had, I really like. I actually felt like the 4S was the perfect device. Like it was just the weight, the size, everything was really nice. The 5 was a compromise. I didn't like that they got rid of the glass back. I kind of liked that. But the 6, they took away everything I like about it. Basically, they made it bigger, which I don't like. You can no longer reach all areas of the screen with my hands. I have long fingers. You can't reach all areas of the screen anymore with your thumb. And then so they made it harder to hold and harder to use. Then they also rounded the edges, which makes it easier to drop. So now I'm going to be bouncing this thing around in my hand trying to hit buttons. And of course all the buttons on iOS are like in the upper extremes of the screen. So even the simplest little browsing task is going to require me to shimmy the phone down in my hand. And then they made the thing smooth and slippery. And like I'm going to be dropping it all over the place. So I'll need a case, which completely negates, the thinness advantage of it.
Yeah, I'm an anti-case. Well, you can get it. You can get it dipped in plastic. You know those? Have you seen those?
No.
They have this. Okay, so this is pretty awesome. I think it's like $100 or so. But basically, you send them your iPad or your iPhone or whatever it is, and they dip it in this like I don't know what it is. It's some kind of plastic coating, and it like covers the whole thing, and now it's a waterproof. And pretty much scratch proof. I mean, it's still going to
hear you. It's kind of like the wave charge where you can charge your battery by putting your phone in the microwave for 5 minutes.
This is different. This actually works.
Yeah, so I don't know I don't know what phone I'm going to get next. I don't know what I'm hoping that they'll come out with a smaller, maybe they'll come out with a smaller iPhone 6. I'm not actually not thinking they will, given how well they're selling, but they've done this with where they have staggered launches, where they have like the iPod Touch gets upgraded every 3 or 4 years. I'm kind of holding out hope that maybe there will be a smaller iPhone 6, but not likely.
Not likely. So I'm really happy with my Motorola Android phones. The Droid line from Motorola. They're made by Google, who owns Motorola now. They're phenomenal devices, and they're small. I like small. This is like a 4.5-inch screen. This is the largest phone I have ever owned, and it's like the perfect size. I don't want giant phones. I like small.
Yeah, not me. I want a big one that replaces a tablet, because I don't want to have a tablet and a phone.
Yeah. I use them for very different things. I really do.
Yeah. And I love the iPad Mini, too.
I don't like having one thing to do all of it, because I like the form factors for different reasons.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense. I mean, things are going to get shaken up and changed. Yeah. I actually ordered a Kindle Voyage because I realized how valuable Kindles are for reading, because when you travel, like the battery life and there's a big advantage, because I used to read off of my phone or my iPad, but it's so much better reading off of the Kindle.
The Voyage, is that the Paperwhite successor? Or I haven't seen that. Okay.
The Paperwhite was a marketing lie anyways. I have that one, and I like to talk about how much of a lie it is.
Why is it a lie?
It's not Paperwhite. That name itself is a lie. It's just a backlight.
Yeah, that's true.
The increased contrast, it's a backlight. That's all it is. It's a really nice Kindle. I love reading on my Paperwhite, but the idea of it being Paperwhite is an absolute bold-faced lie. I still like it as a device, but that new Kindle definitely looks pretty good. If I hadn't bought the Paperwhite 6 months ago, I'd probably be buying that.
My dilemma, I wish that I could use a Kindle, but my main dilemma is I read a ton of stuff that comes in PDF.
Right.
That's fine.
Well, no,
PDF
it's not.
Reader on Kindle is awful.
It's awful. It is so awful. It's
my wife does a lot of that too, and she uses my old original
DX
9-inch DX.
Yeah, DX.
That's the only Kindle she will read a PDF on.
Well, when you scale an 8.5 down to 4 inches or whatever, 5 inches, it's really freaking tiny. I have good eyesight and I can actually read it, but it's not fun.
Yeah.
So, and then plus, the other thing about it is I read a lot of reference type books, and I've gone back to buying paper books actually for a lot of stuff, because trying to navigate through or take notes in any kind of electronic book is still really difficult right now.
Yep.
But yeah, so I don't know. I'm just sort of like, and I'm gonna be 5 years from now. I'll probably still be rocking my iPhone 5S, and
We'll see.
you know, I'll be one of those. I'll be the the guy with the flip phone in 5 years.
I'm always changing technologies. I'm always trying to get. I've got on my seat. You can see the stuff that's being sold.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. Wow.
But yeah, I'm always trying to find the optimum thing. But it's tough.
Yeah. For me, I really like. I would really like the Surface thing. You want to merge your phone and your tablet. I want to merge my tablet and my PC. That's really, for me, that's the win. I don't want to have a huge phone. Would I couldn't even get the 6 in my pocket, or the 6 Plus hardly in my pocket. Like, it's just too, and then they bend.
Right.
Yeah.
That was so funny. Oh my gosh.
Have you seen The Matrix?
No.
There is no phone.
No.
An iPhone.
Great.
That's awesome.
Wow. Yeah, that was really funny. It was such a PR disaster, but it's only I think it only happened like a handful of times, but I just love Apple. They always screw up when this stuff happens, and their response is like, their knee-jerk response is always so bad.
Yeah, their knee-jerk response was, yes, we've had 9 complaints about this. 9 out of however million sold. 9 complaints. Yeah. And meanwhile, the entire internet is complaining about it.
Yeah, they're such assholes because, like my MacBook, remember I told you I had that screen, problem where, okay, so you search on the internet, there's like 5,000 people complaining about this, right? Yeah. And I call up Apple or I talk to them and they're like, oh no, there's no known thing about. I'm like, just do a damn search. Yeah. Like, it's a known thing, right? And they try to tell you that it's your fault or that there's something or you're out of warranty.
You're not a genius, John.
It's a material defect. Like, it is a product flaw. You can't be out of warranty for a manufacturer defect, right? Like, that is actually that existed and that you saw from the right. And same thing with, like, I have an iPhone 4 that I'm trying to sell, and the sound doesn't work on the speakers in apps or in calls. But you know that the speakers work because when you turn it on, like the hands-free mode, the speakers work, right? Search the internet. There's tons of people complaining about this, right? And Apple says that the problem doesn't exist. Yeah. It's like, I mean, people have like 6-step processes of how to fix this thing, and it, but it's just ridiculous. Like, they just need to acknowledge when they screw up and then make it right. It's like
if they acknowledge it, then they have to
recall
pay for it.
Yeah, but that is just standard. Like, I can't believe that they get away with this. Like, class action lawsuits need to be filed.
No, you don't. So you don't understand, though. When something goes wrong with Apple hardware, it's your fault.
Exactly.
Right. It's by design, and it's your fault.
Yeah. So it just ticks me off.
As I say, talking on my Mac.
Yeah. Oh, and then I'm like, oh, every time because I don't have a Mac store that's near me, like an Apple store. So, well, I've brought my MacBook Pro into the Apple store several times, and they're like, oh, you don't have an appointment? You didn't do the oh, let me show you you gotta talk to the Genius bar, and then they're like, oh, there's no slots today. Oh, do you want to come back tomorrow? And I'm like, no, I don't want to come back. I just want to, like, I came to the mall today. I don't want to plan my day around going to the friggin' Apple store to talk to your Genius, which is an 18-year-old kid that you hired on an affirmative action hire. Like, just fix my damn thing. And then I look online, like, oh, we're going to the mall today. So 9 o'clock in the morning, I go on, right? I've done this like 5 times now. Apple store, oh, there's no appointments today. What the hell? Like, they're purposely doing this so that you don't get support and you go out of warranty. Like, that's their plan. Like, this is why they're doing this, which just ticks me off. Like, I love their products are definitely beautiful and whatnot, but they just need to support them better.
Mm-hmm.
But that's my rant. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right, well, and Brant, I should probably get going. I need to drive 4.5 hours to get home.
Oh, yeah. Oh, one last thing before we wrap it up.
Okay.
What do you guys think for dates for we talked about doing like the work day? Like, should we do a random number to see whose day goes, or maybe we should plan it on where who could use the help the most, and then figure out the dates that when we can all be free and.
Well, last time, Josh has the largest amount of constraints.
Yeah, I would say, and I would volunteer Derick's stuff to get worked on first.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm not going to say no.
Yeah. I think my problem now is that right now with my copywriting stuff that I've been doing, it's unpredictable. So, like I'll get a call, like my mentor will like ping me and he'll be like, I need this in like 3 days. And so, it's a little bit unpredictable. We can try.
So you're going to have to tell him ahead of time, hey,
that's a good point. So as long as we plan it far enough in advance.
Right. So that way he can have awareness of what's going on.
Right.
Help work around you.
Cool. Yeah. All right. I'll.
So think about a date.
Conference in November, which is on, I think like the 14th, or it's a weekend or something like that. So other than that, just pick a day and let me know.
And I'll be in Sweden for a week from November 2nd to 9th, I think. So.
Okay.
So
you want to plan for it after the first half of November, then do like the second half. Well, then you get into Thanksgiving.
Well, yeah, not if we do it like early second half though.
True.
So, okay. I will come up with a date then for you guys.
Alrighty. Cool.
All right.
I'm at it.
All right. Talk to you guys next week.
All right. See you guys.
Wanna start a business, but you just know how to code. Listen to John, Josh, and Derick as we figure it out. We are the EntreProgrammers, and we'll teach you straight up to be developers.